big problem with police brutality is you're going to have good cops cover for bad cops. Okay, it's going to happen. It's always going to happen. Why? Because let's say you get a call, you go on say a bank robbery, right? You're the good guy who just ratted out one of the bad cops. Who's going to back you up? Who's coming to your aid? Nobody.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Vox Populi. Today I'm here with Ed. Now lately I've been covering a lot about these Black Lives Matter protests and been following them around and seeing what those people have to say. So today I'm here with somebody who considers themselves to be more or less of an all lives matter kind of person. So the first thing I want to start off with actually is I've been planning on making a video like this for a while, so I asked some people on social media and the YouTube comments to see if they have any questions for you. And the first one, which I think is really relevant to the All Lives, Black Lives Matter thing, is, and this question makes a little bit of a presumption, so I'll ask you the question and then ask you about it.
Okay.
But the question is, why do you think that when we say, we being the Black Lives Matter people, when we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying Black lives matter more than white lives? So I guess, first of all, that sort of makes an assumption about what you believe. So would you say that's accurate, first of all, that you have that knee-jerk reaction when somebody says Black Lives Matter?
I have that knee-jerk reaction when anybody says Black lives, white lives, Mexican lives. I mean, why would you have to put a color or a word in front of lives matter?
Sure.
So if you remove that first part of it, then all lives matter.
Right.
Right? So you're wanting to show your cause by putting a label on people. So all of a sudden now you're going to have racist people come out, right? And you're gonna look at me on camera. I got more color than most of you guys out there. Okay, I'm black, I'm red, I'm green. It shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't matter on how people treat you, right? You could look at me and go, oh man, this guy's a racist. Look at him, bald head, skinhead, tattoos, but you don't know me. So you're going to take a 15-minute clip and judge a 52-year-old person who you have no idea what my background was, right? I got a black brother-in-law. Was married to a woman, black woman, for 7 years. So it's like, oh, maybe he knows what he's talking about.
Right.
No, I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just my opinion. Right? So back to your story, or back to your question, yes, when you put out a label in front of Lives Matter, then you're going to judge that person, or you're going to think, okay, what's this about?
Sure.
Make sense?
So do you think that phrase in some ways creates even more of a racial divide then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The racial divide started back in 50s, 60s, right? People were getting shot with water cannons, and dogs turned on them, right? These were the black people. These were the riots. These were crazy times. Well, all that stuff is coming out now because of what happened then. Then you got your reparations, right? Last time I checked, I never owned a slave. Neither did you.
Right.
I know black people, many. Never knew they were slaves at all, right? But people are going to look at this and go, oh man, what is he talking about? It's true. It's what you see on TV. The media has a lot to do with this. A lot. 95% of what you see on TV is geared towards sex, drugs, killing. That's what sells. That's what people are going to watch. Why not switch that over and show black family at home doing their thing just like white people, right? Everybody does the same thing. But why show the thug with the gun? Why show little Ray Ray who just got killed with his graduation picture on the news, but you didn't see his rap sheet or whatever it was, right? That's what they show. The last 2 minutes of news is going to be a feel-good story.
Right.
But nobody's looking at that. They're looking at what someone did in the media. So if you get rid of that, you're going to stop a lot of this racist stuff because it's just garbage.
Yeah.
I treat people on how they treat me. That's it. I don't care what color you are. Make sense?
Yeah. No, and you know, don't worry too much about like what people are going to say, you know, because that's what we're trying to kind of get to the bottom of here is give you an opportunity to just express yourself fairly, right? That's what I'm trying to do. So do you feel that there is an issue with police brutality in this country?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. A big problem with police brutality is you're going to have good cops cover for bad cops. Okay, it's going to happen. It's always going to happen. Why? Because let's say you get a call, you go on say a bank robbery, right? You're the good guy who just ratted out one of the bad cops. Who's going to back you up? Who's coming to your aid? Nobody. So if you keep your mouth shut and let them deal with it, let them get in trouble, it escalates. Now what happens? You got today. That's the problem.
Right.
A lot of people said, and we talked about this the other day, you can have police make more money, go back to more training, more equipment that they can be using, but nobody's talking about the family unit, right? What are you doing with the kids at home? You're bringing them into school, you're expecting that teacher for 6 hours a day to raise your kid. How's that happen? Nobody's talking about what people could do at home, their home life. Not about what the police can do or how the police portray you. If you stop doing crimes, you're not going to deal with the police. Okay? It's that simple.
Sure.
I don't know how to explain it anymore.
Sure. So I think where the other side's coming from when it comes to, I mean, you mentioned the family unit and whatnot, and I notice a lot of people online like to bring up what they call like black on black crime.
Okay.
Whereas,
We didn't get into that yet.
Right, but that's
There's a lot.
But a lot of people do bring that up, and they say, or at least for what I've seen is people will say, you know, well, if Black lives really matter, then you know, why aren't you concerned with this over the police brutality? But
That's very true.
I think where that's coming from and why the target is police brutality specifically. Again, I can't speak for everybody, but from what it seems to me is just that it's what they can try to control through legislation and whatnot, right? You can't really control a community as a whole, right? You can only take care of your family when it comes to, you know, say an inner city community where they have perhaps those family problems that you're talking about, right? They can only worry about their community itself, you know. I guess you did say that there was police brutality, and you think that's an issue again because of those bad cops.
Yes.
Right. So, with that aside, with the other problems aside, I mean, how would you go about remedying the police brutality thing specifically? Good. Or what do you think the solution is there?
That's a good one. Because I'm not a cop, I couldn't tell you exactly how to remedy it. But if someone a police officer, has a background of different cases where they have shown to have some kind of discrimination against the perpetrator or whatever it is, they should look at that person closer. Okay?
Sure.
And they're not. They're letting them off. There was a prosecuting attorney, or one of the stories with the George Floyd guy, the cop, Amy Klobuchar, who was supposedly the district attorney at that time, let him off for a couple different instances.
Years ago, right?
Years ago.
Right.
She was running for president not too long ago. So everybody needs to be held accountable in every police officer's action. Not just that police officer, Okay, that's going from the chief to the commander to
Right.
whoever else. They're hiding shit, right? Everybody does.
Yeah.
So you have to look at the whole system. So I don't know how you can remedy it, but you need to point out the cops that are
Sure.
the problems. That's the
That's
truth.
just more accountability all the way around.
Sure, absolutely.
Absolutely. So, do you think that there's a pattern of, I guess, racism with these police brutality cases? Like, do you think there's a pattern of black people being targeted more than white people for similar crimes or same?
No,
you know?
well, it depends on who you talk to,
Mhm.
right? Statistics, and I don't like to look at statistics. I look at every different case.
Right.
Statistics, it says that there were more white guys shot by cops last year than there were black guys. Who gives a shit? They were shot. What was that person doing in order to be shot? You know what I
Right.
mean? So it doesn't matter. Everybody looks at statistics. Oh, this is that, this is that. It doesn't matter. Each
Right.
individual case.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's a lot of people that are sort of opposed to the protests. They bring that statistic up a lot, and now there actually might be some validity to that because I was doing a bit of research last night and I found a paper done by Dr. Roland Fryer from Harvard University, where he went into the depths of the statistics and analyzed everything. I mean, it's like a couple 100-page paper, right? But I'll read off the abstract real quick, which is just a little snippet, and it says, "This paper explores the racial differences in police use of force. On non-lethal uses of force, blacks and Hispanics were 50% more likely to experience some form of force when interacting with police. Adding controls that account for important context and civilian behavior reduces but cannot fully explain these disparities. On the most extreme use of force, officer-involved shootings, we find no racial differences in either raw data or when contextual factors are being taken into account. We argue that the patterns in the data are consistent with a model in which police officers are utility maximizers, a fraction of which have a preference for discrimination, who incur relatively high expected costs of officer-involved shootings." So, in a nutshell, what that says is that blacks and Hispanics were more likely to be involved in escalations of force, right, from police officers, but not non-lethal force. But when it does come to shootings, specifically, there doesn't seem to be any racial disparity there, right? And I will link that paper in the description because there's a lot. Again, it was a couple 100-page paper, and I can't get into all of it. They admit there are flaws with the statistics as well, but I think you're right, you do need to do a combination of looking at those things and then also the case by case, why was this person committed for, whatever sentence versus this person, and I do agree a lot of times there's a lot more factors to involve, different jurisdictions and all that, but I guess, yeah, it's a difficult one. I guess, what do you think about the protests and whatnot that are going on?
The peaceful ones?
In general.
Because that's the whole thing.
Right.
If you peacefully protest, okay, and again, everybody brings the same thing up. George Floyd, what he did, what they did to him, for those 10 minutes that he went from being alive, that said he can't breathe, he's a grown man calling out for his mother, okay? Think about that. He was calling out for his mother. How the fuck is that white cop, what that cop should have had happen to him, is they should have gave him over to the public. Here, this is what he did to this guy, take care of him. All right, Barabbas, do your thing. That's what I believe. Because that was so wrong. I don't care what color you are, that should have never happened.
Right.
So to peacefully protest is totally different from looting, rioting, stealing, burning shit down. For what? What is that going to prove?
Yeah.
The guy's already dead. You're not going to bring him back. So how do we fix the system? We've already seen what damage is done. Why create more? There's
Sure.
statues that are being torn down right now. Ulysses S. Grant and Washington, Lincoln.
Mhm.
What did the statue ever do to you? This
Right.
shit happened how many hundreds of years ago, but you're going to tear down the statue.
So I believe with that, I'd have to double check, but I believe with that it's specifically like Confederate statues that are being burned.
Okay.
Right.
So if you look
Mm.
at political wise,
Mhm.
Nancy Pelosi had these Confederate people that were in Congress, their pictures taken down,
Mhm.
right? They were all Democrats.
Right.
There was no Republicans. So if you look at history, Democrats started the KKK.
Yeah.
There were 20-some black men who started the Republican Party.
Mhm.
The Republican Party was started in Ripon, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
to protest to go against slavery.
Mhm.
So why is everybody voting Democrat when all they want is your vote?
Yeah.
They want the black vote. If we don't get that, we'll get it somewhere else. We got the illegals. Now, I don't mind you coming here legally,
Mhm.
but illegal is a totally different story, and that's another interview
Right.
for another day.
Well, yeah, I think we're getting off track a bit here, but
Yes.
yeah, I suppose people argue a lot that party lines have shifted. I mean, it's been 160 years or whatever.
Okay.
That party lines have shifted. I don't think you can really compare the political stances of Abraham Lincoln to Donald Trump. You know what I mean? This is really
Or
makes
Barack
sense.
Obama.
Right.
Big difference.
Right. I don't know if that really holds. You can't really say. It's just a completely different world that we live in.
Sure,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
But what do you think about tearing down like Confederate statues and whatnot? Because
Why? What good is that
sure.
going to do?
Well, the argument I think, again, I can't speak for everybody, but from what I've read, is that basically, why would you create a monument for something that was bad, right? Like obviously, we remember Hitler
Okay.
without creating statues of him. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Sure.
Um,
But that's taught in the history books. That's
right.
right. Well, the stuff that was going on, the Confederate Army, stuff like that,
Mhm.
they no longer teach the history. So if you left the statue
Who's
up,
they?
schools,
Okay.
okay?
Wait, I mean, I learned about that in school.
Okay,
But
good.
I-
I haven't
I
been in
can't.
school, Wyatt, in years. So to me, I don't know
Right.
what they're teaching.
Right.
But if you leave the statue stand,
Mhm.
that shows you exactly, right or wrong, good or bad,
Mhm.
what happened back then.
Sure.
Depending on who you talk to, that's what that statue is about.
Mhm.
Okay, you got a Barack Obama statue, you got a Martin Luther King statue.
Sure.
Depending on who you talk to, they're going to give you their opinion
Sure.
on that statue.
Wouldn't-
Why are you tearing them down?
Yeah.
What does that do?
Right. But don't you think an argument could be made that a statue in and of itself sort of has a positive connotation? You know what I mean? Like when you see it, it's just sort of this grand, like, monument type thing.
Positive or negative. It depends on the viewer, what you take away when you see that monument.
Sure. But I guess from like an unbiased perspective, so say somebody comes from another country, knows nothing about our Civil War, right? And they see a statue, right?
Teach 'em.
Don't you think that it would automatically?
What?
Okay, fair enough.
Teach them.
Yeah.
What is that? You're going to get some guy coming in visiting, whatever. What is that statue of? Tell him what it is.
Mhm.
Okay? Tell him what happened back then, how it came to be, and why he has a statue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you tear it down, what are you going to tell him about? What are you going to show him?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
It just doesn't make sense. That's all. Peaceful protest. That's the big thing. Peaceful.
Mhm.
I saw your video on the pastor of the Milwaukee Bucks,
Mhm.
right? I saw that
Yeah.
video you did. Great interview. Great interview.
Mhm.
He was there. He was making sure everything is peaceful.
Sure.
You don't have to tear stuff down in order to get recognized or
Right.
noticed, right? It's a lot easier to have someone look at that and go, what are they doing?
Mhm.
What did Target do to you?
Right.
What did Walmart do to you? Now, you have nowhere to shop in your own neighborhood.
Mhm.
What good was that? Was that 5 minutes that you burned that place down or whatever it took? Is that worth it for you? Is it worth it for your grandmother who can't get medication now? Because you have nowhere to go.
Right. Do you think an argument could be made that the riots and whatnot, whether good or bad, they've been effective? And do you think that there's obviously a correlation there between things sort of being moved along?
Yeah.
Do you think that there's?
I believe it has been. It
Yeah.
has been effective, but now it's like enough already.
Right.
Okay, they've noticed. They've set up and go. They said, they meaning the higher ups.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a problem. But you take Seattle. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they took a 6-block, 8-block area. They took over City Hall. They took over the police department. The mayor let them. Okay, Democratic-run mayor.
Mm-hmm.
Let him take over that. What was that about? Why did you have to show your ass in Seattle? So far, one person's dead and one's hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't over with yet. Well, what good was that? So when you riot and when you loot, when you do all that stuff, you're actually telling us, or the mainstream media, people, whatever, that you're not willing to wait 4 years, 3 years, whatever it's going to take to vote out the people that you want put in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're just going to take matters into your own hands.
Sure.
Then you're going to expect law enforcement or anybody else to let you do it. The fuck happened to law and order?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the United States is about. Whether right or wrong, you have to have some type of law and order.
Hi, post-production Wyatt here. It's the same day. I've just been working on editing that video. But Ed and I continued to talk for about an hour. We sort of continued on to the whole law and order thing and really what that means and the merits of that. The issue is, it was a good conversation, but the issue is my main camera, the camera I'm recording with now that was recording Ed's angle, died about halfway through the conversation. So I lost that last half of the conversation because I'm a terrible YouTuber. Now this also sort of brings up the question of how long I want these conversation style videos to be. Originally I was planning, maybe 20-30 minutes, which is already a long video as it is. But let me know in the comments how long you think these should be. Now, as far as the rest of the conversation, I did have another source of audio, even though this camera records my main audio. I did have another source, and it's not quite as good. It's a bit fuzzy and whatnot, but I will be uploading that in an unlisted video. Without the video or anything, just more of a podcast format, so that if you do want to listen to the last half of that conversation, then you can do so. But this is something I will be fixing in the future as I get more used to my equipment and videography and whatnot. Now, as far as the conversation itself, I think it was really an eye-opener for me. I think a lot of times these groups that we put ourselves into, these All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter sort of groups, we have these preconceptions about the ways that people think about certain things, right? Like All Lives Matter tends to be associated with not caring about police brutality, but with Ed, for example, that wasn't the case, because sometimes I think we forget that people, even in these arbitrary groups that we set up, are individuals in themselves, and they have different views, and they might have different reasons for associating themselves with certain views. Regardless, I just want to get the other side of the story and create a dialogue here where we can talk about these things and just try to understand each other a bit better. Now, there's not a whole lot in Lowell, Wisconsin, but if you are in Lowell for whatever reason, check out Cowbells, which is Ed's cafe. Thanks a lot to Ed for talking to me. An hour conversation is a pretty big commitment. And Cowbells got good food. I can vouch for it myself. And Ed's a great guy to talk to. If you go in with a positive attitude and just be respectful, he'll chat to you about these things if you want to, no matter where you're coming from. And I think it should go without saying, but this video isn't sponsored by Ed or Cowbells or anything like that. And a big thanks again to Ed for sitting down and chatting with me. I've been wanting to make this video for a while, but I had a hard time finding an All Lives Matter person who is really willing to sit down and talk during these times. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. It's a long one. Let me know what you think about this format and also the length of these videos in the comments, and leave a like and subscribe for more. I plan on doing more videos like this, especially in the future. This format is more the direction I want to go with my channel, I think. But regardless, leave your feedback. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.